So as we were discussing, the odd thing is that all of you were responsible for creating all of that. You're not going to hear this from anybody else on this planet Earth yet, ever, anywhere, because they don't know it. You can't say what I just said from anything influencing you with fear. It cannot be said. As universal knowledge and universal wisdom does not come from fear at all. They don't work together. So, how old are all of you, Vince and Marshall and Lee and Susan and Margaret? It's not the age of your body. That's insignificant. How old are you?
Very old.
Older than what you're seeing
Years.
behind. Older than what you're seeing behind me. Older than galaxies. And that's just in the physical plane. There are levels of higher heavens and dimensions. They aren't even called heavens, by the way. All the way up to the void and all the way up to source and even higher than source itself. These exist. We used to know this. The Galactic Alliance has only become fairly recently aware of and going on journeys above the void. Their worlds down here were paradises. They got all that covered technologically, health, disease, all that stuff, longevity. They know all about that. That's ancient, by the way. Getting rid of diseases, that's ancient. I mean, probably older than hundreds of millions of years old in this galaxy alone. It's very ancient. So understanding the genomes of twin-stranded DNA, that's child's play. Besides, they have more strands than we do. We're supposed to have 4. We got 2. So who stripped us of the other ones? How did that happen? Where did it happen in history? How did it get done to Earth? And how did everybody end up here? These are the questions people are terrified to ask while they're living out their lives, right? You all were. You don't want to ask those questions because you can't get answers from your neighbors and your parents and your clergy. They don't have them. So you just stop asking after a while and acquiesce into being a knucklehead on Earth with no memory. Living and growing old and dying again and again and again. You can't die. You're an Atma. All planets and moons and suns and stars you see in the image behind me were created in the image of us. Spherical. Get it? That alone will guarantee your eventual mastery and success. Just knowing that, just recovering that much is enough to start the process rolling, and then it cannot be reversed. When we cross paths with the hue on one planet or other in billions and billions of years, especially now because it's now the hue expansion ray, it's different. Then there's a connection that's established between us as Atmas, and it begins to take over. It begins to rehabilitate you. Right? It begins to help you make journeys back home like you should have been doing your whole life on Earth. You go to bed at night every night. How come you don't remember where you're going? Should you remember where you're going? Well, of course you should, if you're normal. Now, I'm not putting you guys down. I was in the same boat. But we should be knowing what we're doing in or out of bodies because we're not bodies now. We never have been a body. None of you have ever been the body you're running right now. Never. And you all know it's temporary because the only thing that's permanent is the Atma. And the Atma is not made. This is not what's made in the image of the source behind all of that. They got that completely wrong on Earth, backwards and upside down. So they're never going to know anything thinking that way, which is the whole point. So if you start to remember about the pineal gland, and you start to remember about what you are as a spherical being, because it is the spherical being that you see on the front of this book. This is the only place on Earth right now, anywhere, even in hidden monasteries, where this image exists. It's been that suppressed. Because that's what's really made in the image of Source. Not one of these. No. It's always this. And that was in existence before the lower worlds of time and space were built. So how responsible are we really for the condition of this planet? Hmm. How many people on earth are ready to accept responsibility that they created this mess stupidly and unconsciously and through fear and over billions of years of uh, slowly forgetting everything? How many of them are ready to accept responsibility that they're supposed to help co-create transforming this place? It can't just be done by a savior to you. That's what you do with spoiled, immature children. You give them a sucker, you give them a lollipop, an ice cream cone to placate them. It doesn't change them. And then they grow up expecting to be like that and go to some heaven and not blow the place up and tear it to pieces as soon as they arrive. You can't take that garbage into the higher worlds. They don't fit. Ever. You cannot take fear or ego into the void or higher. Fortunately, it's designed that way as a form of protection. Nobody knew it would backfire when this place was created. The old failed experiment of good and evil, you know that one, right? Worked better than anybody thought. Worked so well that half of what you'd call source doesn't even know it's source anymore. And you got this whole universe being supported by silent mentors. They don't intervene or get directly involved with us anyway. They're not supposed to change it. We are. Does that make any sense to all of you now?
Yeah.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
A year ago, forget it. You wouldn't have known it. So how much smarter are you now? What's your IQ? You couldn't even measure it on Earth. You go to work, you eat your food, you do all the things everybody else does, but what you know and what you can comprehend now is being able to imagine what life is beyond Earth, being able to see it.
And feel it.
And feel it and change, because the hue changes people. It does. And doesn't do it the way we want, when we want. I know that better than anybody. But it does change us. It wants us to become responsible, trustworthy co-creators with it. And it will not take anything less than that. No one's getting out of here free of charge with no effort on their part. And certainly not if they're not willing to accept their responsibility. They're supposed to be gods with clothed in rags. Take the rags off and be a god in eternity, working with the great one energy. That's what our function is. That's who we are. So how old are you?
Ageless.
Ageless. You couldn't even determine it in terms of billions of years in the lower worlds. And if that's what we are, how do we fall so far as to think we're a body and worry about losing it on Earth, growing up here with all the other people around you, reinforcing that amnesia? This is changing because I'm not giving you information for your mind so you can get some data I'm giving you about how the multidimensional universe works. That's not how it's being done at all. It's being moved through me, through you, so it rubs off on you as it goes on to benefit others. The Hue expansion ray only works this way. It only works one way now. It doesn't work both ways. When it passes through positive and negative fields now, it reunites them. Suppose you could say that's inevitable at some point. This that was like this, with a third energy keeping yin and yang together, manifesting the universe without karma, without repercussions. When it's broken apart and it's doing this, then you get Maya, you get incarnations with no memory, you get karma, you get the whole bunch of nonsense. And it's an illusion. It's Maya or Maya. Because we're still what we are, and that's not going to change. The universe can take 1 billion years waiting for you to wake up. What does it care? But we care. We don't want to take another 1 billion years to wake up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell no. And there's no sense for any of you to be reincarnated again in a baby's body with no memory. Is that how you think people do it on other planets? That's all you know. So you're actually going to project that out there and put that on them. They must be limited like us, right? Just like us. No, they're not like us at all. Not even a little bit like us. Look the same. They eat, but they don't eat what we eat. They don't grow up like we grow up on those worlds. They come here and have been coming here and have not been limited to come here from other galaxies for billions of years. That's not great, wondrous technology. Antigravitic propulsion going faster than the speed of light, that's ancient. Ancient. You'd be just, your minds would be blown if you knew how ancient it was. People are playing with rocket ships to try to get payloads just outside of Earth's gravity. Oh my God, I just got it there. And lots of ships blew up and, oh, okay, you got your new toilet paper. Okay, now we're going to land. That's it. That's what the people are told on this planet so far, right?
Right.
That's changing. Congress and senators are doing open dialogues with people for the public on YouTube, online, talking about UFOs and aliens now. So they're starting to disclose. They're doing it carefully because they don't want people to riot in the streets like they did with COVID. Hoard toilet paper, paper towels, shoot each other. I don't know. That's just that. That's not even aliens. Fear in groups and masses of people causes destruction. That's the problem. Classified people were right. They helped create it, the conditions. But people in groups riot. They fear and they panic. So disclosure cannot happen with ships landing all over the planet. Yet. Until people are prepared enough to handle it and go through it and not shoot each other and go nuts. Subconscious primary implants would cause them to destroy each other. Simple as that. Leaders of countries tried to have nuclear war many times here. Their launch computers were shut down from space. That's more highly classified than aliens or the hydrogen bomb. Because your governments would then have to tell everybody that we aren't in control of this planet. There are beings coming here that could take our militaries away in 10 seconds and we couldn't do a thing about it to protect you. That's how their thinking was after World War II, just like that. And you begin to see they were being manipulated. They were being subconsciously influenced for a race of beings that have no interest in humankind or its survival, don't care. And they made deals with these beings to get some technology, some older technology. Seemed like a good idea at the time. They realized it was a mistake after they did it, but then they couldn't get out of it. The only reason they're out of it now is because those beings they had in bases underground were removed from this solar system. Not by us. Period. When you start to understand this, then you realize why I don't go into abductions with little grays or talk about cow mutilations or Nazis with reptilians in Antarctica. I'm not putting anybody down for that. They're doing the best they can, but I'm saying they aren't there. And they haven't been on this planet for 25 years, more than that. That's how behind this whole community of UFOs, and they're so far behind what's really taking place right now. So the work is not for me to ridicule any religion, any one religion, or to negate what people are trying to do in disclosure. They're being run by subconscious fear while they're doing it, so you get the picture. You understand why they do what they do. They don't even know they're doing it. But it keeps people focused in Earth's atmosphere. It doesn't allow them to view things beyond, which they have the capability to do. All of you do. That's awake in you now. It cannot be reversed. The confidence part of it comes when you let go of the bad habit of holding on to fear, like it's a precious thing you don't want to give up. That's an old bad habit, not just primary implant stuff. You carried that with you before you got caught and put on this earth. So now we'll go on this journey with all of this awaken you now. What do you say about that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's better to do it that way and be awake and go look at stuff because it's going to wake you up more.
Yeah.
I would have to say these journeys are changing, maybe as of this one. There was never any way that an individual like myself even working with masterful beings from other worlds, could do one-on-one primary implant review journeys for 1,000 or 100 people. They cannot be done in a group. It would take days to do 10 people. Couldn't be done. The focus is so intense to get a person to actually make a memory of what is subconscious that terrifies them, because all their other abilities start to resurface after that. And the first written manuscript or book that actually reveals this is in the Savior's Agenda on this planet. It has a special technique section in the back and a glossary of characters and terms. There's no other books like that on Earth, in science fiction, fiction, fantasy, or anything, anywhere. And the only reason it's there is because I had some very wondrous, masterful beings to work with to help me with this. I didn't have the genius to write this stuff. I didn't learn any of it here in school or university. Nobody knows it on Earth. So where did I get it? How did it get put down that way? It's still a mystery to me, largely. Okay. Not really a mystery, just kind of puzzling. You know, because so much happens that's beyond my capability. I'm just a co-creative, in harmony guy with Source. And that's what we all really are supposed to be doing, because then we can really contribute, become part of the solution, and stop being part of the problem. Boots on the ground. Let's do 5 hues together first, and I'll tell you exactly what this is doing. It's opening up a doorway, a connecting point through the pineal gland in the center of your human brain. That's what it's doing. That's the only thing it can do. It doesn't work with power or greed or lust or running countries or worrying about money or how long you live or what you'll die of or who your lover is and who you lost or any of that. It doesn't work with that. It works with the Atma. And the Atma, you, is supposed to consciously work with it. That's simple. And then run bodies. Then it makes sense. Then you can do it. When we go in 5 higher tones, you do it silently, okay? I'm going to do it out loud because I'm in the trance state called sleep now. And it will help bring your body into the trance state called sleep because the energy of the hue passes through you and creates these conditions. It doesn't mean you won't hear somebody downstairs or a sound. The ears stay open for protective purposes. But it's just like keeping a microphone on somewhere. And you're on another planet, but you have this microphone on Earth. In case there's an earthquake and you have to come out of this journey and save your ass and get under in between the door jamb somewhere or something like that. It's an old thing. So the beings who are doing the hue with us are not on Earth right now. They're out in space in the primordial hue itself, which is what all of space is. It's not just an empty void at all. Even scientists on Earth know that now. It's far from empty. It's some kind of powerful energy. So they call it 0 point or toroidal energy. It's the same energy that circles a planet, creating a gravitational field, so it can float in this hue. We're actually going to go play in divine spirit, but it doesn't call itself divine because that means there's a king tyrant on a throne on a chair somewhere way up in heaven. And that's not the case. That's not how it really works. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to turn your mics off just for this to get a better recording quality. You can turn them on if you need to, no worries. All right, here we go. You And when I do that, I hear the sound, not as the human ears and brain, but as the Atma. It's a kind of a very subtle humming sound, almost like a soft electrical noise. If you go up high enough in that sound, you'll hear the note of a flute. Constantly there, always there, but we just don't, people on earth don't even bother to tune in to listen. Physical ears can't hear it anyway. Physical eyes can't see it. They don't have a high enough development in two-stranded DNA to see into ultraviolet and infrared, higher levels of the hue. The Atma does. And it's the Atma. When you hear it around you, it's your home, and you hear this sound around you. And you realize it's not coming from outside. And you realize it's not coming from the hum of your refrigerator because it's off. That's the sound the universe of the physical nature makes in the entire vast billions of galaxies. The space between them that they float in is the hue itself. You don't have to hunt for it. It's right in front of your face. Everywhere. But that energy is not molecular, atomic, or nuclear. There's no atoms in it. That's all done in the lower worlds when you put stuff together using positive and negative as 2 points of a battery to create a form with the hue behind it. That's how we manifest. People on earth have completely been dumbed down to know that consciously altogether. What's the purpose of learning something like The Secret and thinking positively if you just die in a few years anyway, oblivious of the greater God out there? What good is it to accumulate vast wealth and positions of power and fame that vanish in the twinkling of an eye, and the people that do that haven't learned a damn thing in their whole life that's worth anything at all? The truth, it's said, shall set you free. How do you know what the truth is to set you free if we don't step into it directly ourselves? Well, you can't. All you've got is belief and faith. They're great places to start, but terrible places to end up. We have to step beyond them into the direct experience of knowing what we believe in, not just believing in it. That's not normal or healthy. That's not the way beings beyond Earth and other worlds live at all. There is a couple from the Galactic Alliance who are hovering. You're up near the ceiling, out of your body. You're often out of your body anyway, you just don't remember it. You're a spherical being looking down on your body, and there's a being hovering to each side of you, male and female. You know they're male and female not because of the Atma, because they're projecting a 36-year-old, perfectly flawless, handsome man, perfectly flawless, beautiful woman, standing in front of the Atma they are, showing you how they really look. These are ageless and timeless forms that look human, dressed well, but they're not atoms, they're not molecules. They're a projection from the white core of the Atma. And you knew how to do that in the beginning before you started playing in the lower worlds of time and space. So when your fears subconsciously are shut off, as they are now, you can do this easily. It's not any more difficult than imagine going to the store. It's the same ability to see another location, but it doesn't take place in your brain at all. The brain doesn't have the ability to see the store. It's not designed to do that. You are. And so you communicate that to the brain and body, and it gets up off its ass, goes in the car, and goes to the store. It follows where you visualize, in other words. Now, if people really knew this consciously, can you imagine how this world would change? So you're near the ceiling, and you're projecting the same kind of 36-year-old young adult male If you're a male, you're perfectly handsome. If you're a female, perfectly flawlessly beautiful. There's no negative nature in the Atma. There never was. First thing you learn and awaken on these journeys is that you've never had any negative nature. So where does it come from? Not in the Atma, it's outside the Atma, through which you see the universe distorted, through which these things turn on and affect your nervous system, turn on subconsciously. And so you see the fear and the terror and the torture and the death and the failure and the short lives and fear of this and fear of that. And you think you're a body and you don't know the difference between a body and what soul is, and don't know where you kept your soul. Maybe you put it in your back pocket, stuck it in a bank vault somewhere, and maybe it looks like you. Maybe it's an astral body or something like that. No, it's not any of that. Your astral body lives on the astral plane, and you're running one right now. It's not you. Your emotions aren't you. This all comes from that life you're living there. You're not the causal body or the mental body or etheric bodies. These are made of molecular matter at different higher levels of molecular time rate. That's all. And so we can experience tactile sensation that bodies can produce for the Atma to have tangible experience with those realms, those planets, those places, those dimensions. Why? It's so we can become trustworthy co-creators with the source and help other races, younger species, animals and plants and birds and planets, sky and mountains and rock evolve. You don't destroy them, you raise the vibration of the energy passing through them. That's our job. People on Earth are not doing their job. They're doing quite the opposite right now. And that can only result in destruction. There's no other eventual return for putting out negative fear of the present and future. So you can see the difficulty of a problem this is for the Galactic Alliance, the master teachers on various planes. They have to figure out how to neutralize this billions of year old nonsense called the old failed experiment of good and evil and replace it with something that provides people with the wisdom to never be trapped again. So whether you know it now or not, when you cross paths through the you through this work, and it crosses paths with you, it's a one-way ticket. It does not and cannot be reversed. This is for your benefit, of course. There's a white golden light, pastel, flowing down through the ceiling, coming from space, down through the ceiling, through you, through your sleeping body. It goes through you for your benefit, but it continues through the walls of your home, out into Australia, and out into Pennsylvania, and out into North Dakota, and out into Florida. It passes through you for your benefit, respectfully giving you the option to choose to recover fully who you are when you are awake enough to let go of the bad habit of fear. That's about it. That's about it. There's only one thing anybody ever needs to let go of, like a lead brick weighting them down. And that is fear, because fear is not real. It's an artificially created and implanted emotion. If it's implanted in your astral body where all emotion comes from, and then comes to you, how are you going to deal with that? How can you change it? You can't do it from here. The astral body can't change itself, so who or what changes anything? Well, the source energy itself moving through you consciously as the Atma running those bodies, because that's the only way you can change them. There's a sound coming down through the ceiling. You can hear it humming, almost like a very subtle thunder, rumbling. But it's uplifting, it's gentle, it's not violent. There's no lightning. That's the sound the physical universe makes. All 144 parallel dimensions, each on a slightly higher tone level of the same sound. You get to the astral plane, it changes into another type of sound, like the pure crashing of a wave, a consistent sound crashing on the beach. in a continuous rolling wave. And it's all through all 144 parallel dimensions of the astral plane on different higher molecular time rate levels. There's little voids between each of these dimensions, like the big one, that keep them separated. So we can have physical mastery, emotional mastery, cause and effect mastery, mental thought mastery, subconscious mastery, making it conscious, that's the etheric. And then the only thing left is to go across the void and return home. And then become and fulfill our purpose for existing all these billions of silly years. The couple beside you, they look like Shantiel and Tonatiel or Dantam and Lamtam. Those are the only 4 names I've given to people on Earth. But there are millions of them that are capable of helping individuals on Earth. If they can get assigned to do it, they'll do it. And these are beings who don't grow up like people on Earth. They don't grow up being fed spoon bullshit from governments or religions. They don't have money, and they don't have tyrant people running things for them. The wisest and most, I should say this word, I hate to use it, spiritually advanced beings are the ones who run their governments. Their motivations are pure. They're not in there for ulterior motives. They don't grow up with that. Can you imagine what it'd be like to have over 500 million spacefaring world systems, not just one planet, whole systems, working collectively together in harmony in one governing body? What it would be like. Earth is supposed to be part of that one day. Not the way people are on Earth now. That would be quite impossible. So a lot of change is coming here. It's underway now. The beings standing beside you, you can see them however you choose. But they are kind. They're showing you a body that looks to be about 36. It's on a ship, usually the Emerald Star Cruiser. There are other craft like that in our solar system now. But why complicate it more than just getting people aware of one? These are not craft that our military, Space Force, or anybody else can detect. And if they detect them, they can't do anything with them. They can't fire anything at them. Nothing works. They're out of phase. They're in a different dimension in the physical universe. You can't approach them. They're not concerned about weaponry that's being reverse engineered on Earth. They don't care about any of that. It's ineffective against them anyway. So you're going to see a flash of light, a little bit increase in this humming sound, and you're going to find yourself in space. This particular journey took 55 minutes just to now to get you here. Because there's a lot that went on to wake you up on the journey before we actually got up here. You're in space, standing in a circle of beings around Ambassador Torellian. He is not an ambassador to Earth. Don't expect him to walk around Capitol in Washington, D.C. and meet with Trump or anything like that. They're too far advanced for that. They won't show up here till after Earth is transformed and is part of the Galactic Alliance. First beings you're going to see here will be from vast numbers of world systems landing all over this planet. That preparation for that has to take place first. If Earth is going to survive and take its place amongst the greater life in the greater heaven and the greater God outside of Earth, then we have to grow up. We have to wake up and become conscious beings again. If we expect to work with them so they can trust us, if we have to trust them, we got to know what we're doing. Space out here is a white golden light everywhere you see. Around the Earth with its polar ice caps, the barren moon with no atmosphere, orbiting Earth, not turning on its axis at all. the sun, the billions of stars, big blue ones, big young hot white blue stars, great big yellow suns, much bigger than Earth, smaller ones, little red dwarfs and red giants. Most of those out there are trinary, meaning worlds orbit in those solar systems orbit 3 suns. 2 smaller ones that orbit a bigger one. That's the most of the galaxies are. I just found that out in the last few years by very advanced scientists on Earth. They got astronomical equipment and other kinds of equipment way out in space and look deeper than they ever have before. That's why they're not into the Big Bang Theory anymore, because they looked far enough and found out that doesn't hold water. It's just a theory and it doesn't work. That's being dropped now, because what they found and proved, it goes against that theory. You need to know this, because it's not just, you can find it online, but it's not openly disclosed. Nobody's putting money into paying people to tell you all about it. I mean, who's doing that? Yet. Torellian's 18 feet tall body he shows you is shown that way because that's what he used to have over 1 billion years ago. The entire Say-Rays race are human. 12-stranded DNA, much more advanced than the Galactic Alliance. They didn't even originate in our galaxy. They helped produce Pashats and lion people and somewhat bird upright walking people and human and humanoid and reptilians who were vegetarians at the time and greys who were nice and all this stuff. Nordics, every these things people have named on Earth. And 1 million times more than that haven't even been disclosed on this planet yet. Were all brought into a higher form genetically by the Say-Rays. In many galaxies and all of the astral and physical worlds. These guys were really advanced, man. And once they got those beings who were nice to each other at the time up to spacefaring capability, they disappeared into the background. I guess to see what we'd do with it. We all know what we did with it. It's pathetic. When you got something subconsciously influencing you that you don't even know is there, how can anybody expect us to be born again in a body and get it right? With no faculties and no memory. Are you kidding? All we do is make more mistakes. So, this blonde hair, slightly wavy to his shoulders, his big blue eyes, bigger than Earth human, slightly pointed ears, white gown, bare feet, closed fists, thumbs up, golden light a foot thick around him, is simply standing there. It's a big Atma hovering above him. It's bigger than us and more beautiful, really, more brilliant. But we are like him. There's a couple beside you in this circle. I'm standing just to the left, opposite Master Ramu, who is near the earth. My pilgrims to my right. Some of you are between me. Some are on the other side of the circle. Yet in dinner drens, they're not even human. They're hovering above Ambassador Torellian. Master teachers, silica-based, 3 feet long, stand on their hind legs, cute as the Dickens, courageous to a fault. Beautiful Atmas hovering above them, man and woman, husband and wife, but they're not human. Silica-based, pale green skin, big bulbous blue eyes. They look like they're amused about something when their mouths are closed. Their tail glows like crystal opal in bright sunlight. And they have evolved as a silica-based organic species to fly through the air and defy gravity. Like a stingray has a shark in its tail, or fish that glow at the bottom of the ocean. It's roughly based on that principle. They're able to set up a field of energy around their body and fly around. In an atmosphere, of course. They're master teachers. Now, when I met them 100,000 years ago, they weren't. But these were really pure beings. They manifest more of the fine qualities of real humanity in human beings than humans on Earth even know exist. They aren't even human. Light sees standing above them. Above him is Sat Nam. Satnam is here by his own choice. Don't ask me why. Why a guy that has no lower bodies wants to runs the Atma plane above the void, wants to hang out with us. I mean, it's a gift. I mean, it's just what's changing, even for him. You know how he is: bronze skin, bald head, golden eyes, not yellow. Got himself a little white tunic dress on from his waist to his bare ankles. Doesn't wear a shirt. Strongly built, muscular. 2 gold bracelets on each of his upper arms. About 36 looking. The Atma's 4 times bigger than us and brighter. More layers and things in it. To each side of him are 2 silent mentor couples. Why the hell they're here, I can't tell you. Except these beings run the entire mechanics of the entire multidimensional universe. And they don't normally have interaction with Atmas or gurus or teachers or students or anything like that, or Atmas. But they're here now. They are capable of being anywhere in the multidimensional universe, from the highest reality, even above the void, even above the source itself or prime creator, all the way down to being a fly on your tabletop. Anywhere in any form to do something, carry out a mission, and you would never know they were there. They have absolute freedom. No limitations. They aren't designed to be like loving-dovey, compassionate, to help you and Atma become a master. That's not normally what they do. So there's one place where they become a kind of a master teacher for us, and that's in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. They don't, well, yeah, they do it in Satnam's realm too. Haven't had time to take you to some of those places. But that's where we're going. Why? We're going there because you get above the lower worlds of the illusion, aberrations, fears, on all the planes where they got gods or Purushas running them that are tyrants who don't care about you being free. That's the truth of it. You want to get free, you got to go above the void. You got to return home. There is no shortcut for this one. This is a sound going on in the background all the time. It is a round hole sound that comes from the entire omnipresent living energy of the Hue itself. It has no limitations. Remember, this is not physical matter. It's not limited by atoms or molecules or gravity or speed of light or any of that illusion. Out here in space, Ramu's standing near Earth. Maroon-colored robe, simple rope for a belt, sandals. Dark brown skin, coal black eyes, short-cropped hair and curly hair and beard. Holding his crystal staff with the Ankh symbol on top, eternal life. It's quartz. It's a device, so he's simply showing you the manifestation of it with a human-looking form. Happens to be the form and the age he looks on Earth. Carries this thing. It's in the Himalayan area, but not on the Earth you know of. It's in the 3rd higher parallel dimension of Earth. And he can come back and forth to our world from there, and he does all the time. So he's a master teacher. Directly opposite of Mount Space to my right is Master Opelum. He's from planet Oceania. That's on the other side of our galaxy in the 3rd higher parallel dimension. To the beings that travel space, these other dimensions, these other worlds stacked like on top of each other, are accessible by their technology and their craft. They understand it. They circumnavigate it. They go between these naturally occurring portals that were built into creation at the beginning. And they can open them artificially as well. Simple. You can't do that if you don't know and respect the one living power, the 0-point energy, the energy of the universe, which isn't molecular or atomic in nature. If you don't work with that, you are not going to advance. or be spacefaring or go faster than the speed of light or any of that. You can't do it without it. It's the way it's been set up. The more advanced races understand this. Even if they don't know about the worlds above the void. They're still ethical and honorable and evolved and lived thousands of years. The telomeres on the end of their genomes, at the end of their DNA, don't shrink when cells divide. That's normal. Oh, but they do shrink when they divide in Earth people. That's aging. That is not normal either. So where's your missing history? You were involved in all of what happened and how this took place. You were there. Long before Lemuria existed. 65 million years since the dinosaurs were made extinct. What have you been doing all this time? See, out here there's no negative influence in Earth's atmosphere around you, so you can think this way and begin to ask the right questions of source energy. If you don't ask the right questions, you cannot get the answers. If you don't think and imagine and be outside of Earth and the greater God, you can never embrace the greater God. It is impossible. It cannot be dumped on your head on Earth with a magic wand of a savior or a Buddha or anybody. And you know what, from experience and looking at this world, nobody's ever had that magic wand dumped on their head, have they? There's no proof of it anybody can share with anybody else on this planet. So out in space, we're not on the planet. No, we're not. And this is normal functioning, by the way. No big deal, by the way. This is the way so much more of life works out in the multidimensional creation. Earth is not typical of other worlds in our galaxy. And it's had serious problems. Polar flips that wipe out all life every 100,000 years for 6 of them at least. Other worlds don't do that. This goes back to the explosion of Maldek that's now an asteroid field circling in the orbit of a planet that was once a planet between Mars and Jupiter. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. And it didn't become a natural creation of the universe. It was through perverted use of weaponry and stupidity that it was blown up. Then, long ago. Goodbye, good atmosphere for Mars. Goodbye, a balanced polar thing for Earth. An imbalanced Earth's poles. A lot of stuff that people have never asked the right questions about on Earth in order to get the answers from the Hue. Now you know. Your history goes far beyond just Earth's history, or 65 million years. You were in bodies running higher human forms with far greater intelligence long ago than you are experiencing now. This is the first thing people need to recover, is awareness of this, because they're not taught that anywhere on this planet yet, as you all well know. Up above Satnam is a vortex. It looks like the golden white light behind me and the image behind me. Don't open your eyes and look. You already know what it looks like. And it's got a narrow center. It's quite vast. And it goes way up. And it goes from the top of space near Earth all the way through the void, up through Satnam's realm, goes up through the other dimensions, up to Agam Purusa's, into the heart of all that is, into that galactic center, and up into this realm of the silent mentors, and up into the Hue expansion ray plane itself. Yeah, it's big. All of that above the void is far bigger than all the lower worlds put together. How did everybody get upside down and backwards with that one? Where did that take place? Forgetting about who we are as an Atma, co-creating with Source, took place long before you were caught by reptilians and killed and stuffed in a body on Earth and implanted. The problem was you were vulnerable to be caught like that before it took place. Think about that for a moment. And then set it aside, because it's no longer your problem. You cannot be caught by reptilians. You cannot be implanted ever again by any race anywhere. That is permanently over now. The polar flips of Earth, which would have already destroyed all life here, have been brought to a permanent end. There's no more Golden Age to Iron Age and back again. That's done. It's finished. The only beings capable of doing that without destroying something, if they want to, are the silent mentors. You know, the mechanics of creation. You think they have a problem looking at Earth and fixing it from flipping? No. Some years back, it was tipping really drastically and flipped back to where it was in the 1500s. It was announced. Not that anybody cared or understood it on Earth. But it wasn't even hidden from people. They just didn't give a crap, really. Why should they? So out here in space, you are surrounded by a white golden light everywhere. It has a sound. It's coming down as a brighter light through this vortex, through Satnam, down through Light Sea, through the silent mentor couple, male and female altering, standing to each side of Satnam, wearing a different colored gown, bare feet, bare shoulders, long hair to their shoulders, different colored hair, different skin colors, big Atma, 4 times bigger than us, hovering above them. Why they're choosing to work with us in Satnam now this way? Well, things are changing in the upper realities, that's why. Or they wouldn't change here. I could not be doing this if it hadn't already changed there. Now think about that for a moment. This is practical. This is common sense. There are 12 different master-teacher couples. They happen to all be couples this time. They happen to all be from the Galactic Alliance. And they're all master teachers. Far more advanced than any guru that ever lived on Earth, for instance. And they're going with us on this journey. They're from the Galactic Alliance because they're also part of the Galactic Alliance Council. They want to go where we're going, because they bring back complete awareness of the journey to their people and telepathically distribute it all over the galaxy. And we're part of that now. You need to understand this. You need to allow yourself to know this. This is your choice. This is your opportunity. Out here, you can see a white golden light brighter than the one that's in space coming down through this vortex. At the other end of the vortex, with the other end, you can even see this brilliant, what I call brilliant but pale blue, cobalt blue light. And that's coming from the void. That vortex bypasses all the lower planes of time and space. We don't want to get caught up in that nightmare. We want to go all the way above and in the void and higher. And we want to take some really masterful people with us. Or you could say they're taking us with them. It's really mutual. So now we're going to do the hue. Do it with me. Match the tones silently inside. And we're going to create a brighter vortex light, turning on the levels of this vortex that we're contributing to. It's already in place by these masterful beings. Now we're going to add to it. It's like giving permission to the source to make a high note of a flute sound and take us home. That's what we're doing. Asking the right questions, seeing the right images, stuff we should know like the back of our hand. I'll begin those tones now. And then watch the vortex light up brighter. And look around you and see what the extraterrestrials around us and master teachers are doing. Because they're doing it with us. Hugh. The foot-wide light of golden hue around Torellian's closed fist with his thumbs up brightens. He's creating an oval transparent shield of energy. It's made of the hue. It's made of a brighter form of the hue than space that surrounds the planets. It's like the hull of a spaceship. It just encloses us in a system that we can all go together in one focused journey for a precise and specific purpose. A flash of light from his thumbs has us sent right up, following first Satnam disappears up into the vortex with the real him, the sphere hovering above the form. The silent mentors follow, and light C, Etin, and then all of us in a group. And we're shot upward through the central narrow part of this horseshoe hourglass shape, interdimensional doorway that we helped co-create together. We added our energy to it. The sound coming down now. Stay with it. Don't get lost in your fears. That's a waste of time. Sound coming from that opening is a high single note of a pure flute. We say flute, but it's not really a flute. It's like humming, like thunder, gentle, but on a much higher frequency. Because it's coming from a higher form of the hue, isn't it? We stop in the middle of this vortex just to gaze through this whirling energy, golden white light, and around it a blue-green light moving slower around it. It looks like water, but it's a shield. It's a type of energy. It comes from silent mentors. It's built around the outside of this interdimensional doorway. And it's the first time you're hearing this. And then we're shot out the other end. And we're now hovering way inside this vast pale blue cobalt light everywhere. The sound here is like millions of men and women's voices with perfect vocal cords, singing the hue on multiple levels in flawless harmony. It's really one sound coming through them. Yawning, by the way, is blowing off unconsciousness, if you're wondering. There's a purpose for it. Just don't let it distract you. It's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it at all. You look below you, you can see right down through the opening. Below our feet. You can see us still hovering down there around Torellian, New Earth and the moon and the sun, the stars, and then it vanishes. We are no longer in the lower worlds of time and space where we have bodies, every one of them that you're running, etheric, mental, causal, and astral, and your physical are all right now in the trance state we call sleep. Because this is part of the hue coming through you. When we did the first 5 hues, was working through them at the same time. You don't have to worry about mastering the astral, causal, mental, etheric, or any of that. They're on hiatus. They're on a sleep vacation so that you as the Atma can go and get some real energy. You want to get energy that's pure positive. You want to get energy that has no opposites, no negative nature. And we want to bring that back with us to our lives on earth because it will change you. This is why we go here. You look up ahead, we're moving at a tremendous speed in this infinite, vast cosmos of cobalt blue light. There's nothing here. I mean, you can't see any buildings or structures or bodies or forms. That's why they call it the void. Of course, it isn't the void, it's pure hue. But it's a hue that's created by certain beings and maintained as a barrier between the upper realities and the lower worlds of time and space. And up ahead you can see a white sandy beach starting to appear way up ahead until we come out suddenly at a stop in front of it, and you see it's this diamond-like beach glowing a foot above these pure spherical little crystals of diamond-like energy. And extends as far to the left and right as you can see and curves in on itself, implying that we're approaching some kind of a landmass at the upper end of the void that is just massive, but it's circular. So we don't have planets and moons and suns and stars in the upper realities, do we? No, they're not needed. We have images and forms that are held in place by beings. We come and see these jungle trees lining this vast beach. Fruit trees and fir trees and eucalyptus trees and giant redwoods and white oaks and banana trees and everything you can imagine lining this beach because they're prototypes for what was created in the lower worlds. They're maintained here. Don't you understand this? Of course you do. They're transparent. They have the hue running up and down branches, leaves. The sky beyond this land is cobalt blue. There's a luminous white golden energy behind it. That's the pure hue coming from realms higher than this. And you can see a long diagonal blue stone snow-covered mountain range in the distance. And Satnam hovering above these trees. The silent mentors beside him. Atma and Din are flying around with these birds that come out of the branches. They're about a foot long. Long V-shaped split tails. Beautiful. Millions of rainbow colors blended beautifully. Big blue eyes. Kind of like a blue jay. But twin sets of wings. 2 sets of wings, one above the other. Kind of like a dragonfly, but different. They're birds. They have photographic memories. They're telepathic. And then there's this big Atma like the size of a silent mentor hovering above each one of them. And they're singing with vocal cords the hue. And they're so perfect. The hue comes out of these hundreds of these birds. And it goes right into the pale blue cobalt light of the void and maintains it. That's right. Beings like this actually maintain the void. Co-workers with Satnam. Because Satnam, this is his realm. This is the Atma plane. Stay with it. Don't let the itches distract you. That's body stuff. You're not a body. Just leave that little sucker asleep for a while. As a group surrounded by this oval golden white light, we move over the top of the trees. And we move over the top of a fountain we see with statue of Satnam in it. And then we're going into the distance, following a brown moss-covered luminous path that goes up to foot-thick golden luminous steps, like you're approaching a big Colosseum in ancient Rome or Greece, except there are crystalline structures along the base of the mountain. And there's two big blue lapis lazuli gold-laced pillars holding up a four-sided quartz-capped pyramid roof, and there's a single quartz blue stone type, polished, smooth, rounded edges, throne chair sitting in the middle of it on this flat, golden, luminous floor. There's a white shaft of golden light, white gold light coming down into it, so it's a device. I suppose Satnam could sit in it, but you notice he just moves right beyond it. He's not going to sit in that thing. This isn't Earth. There's nobody pontificating their lordship here to anyone else. There's no egos here. You can't bring an ego with you into the void. Egos are just basic personality structures. You know, they got the positive, the negative, and the good and the bad and all your experiences in life, but they don't go here. They're left asleep, turned off with your body on Earth. The couple beside you that's here now are doing that for you. They are not from Earth. And Satnam is moving through a 15-foot high golden-sided triangular opening that goes into the base at the back of the mountains. There's a big fountain out there. It's like 30 feet wide, scalloped blue edges. Christmas tree, blue and green energy. Looks like a Christmas tree. Forms like that with a white golden light cylinder around it. And that's a device too. Now we could have time to explore the unlimited amount of stuff that you can find in the Atma plane. When you look out in the distance from up above the top of this Christmas tree fountain, because now as a group we're up inside the white golden shaft of light, looking down and out into the distance at the terrain of the Atma plane, you can see there are oceans connected. It's curved oceans that have a straight line connecting different colors of the rainbow of oceans surrounding the landmass. They each have a function and they can be explored. The countryside here is vast. Forests, mountains, and rivers, and lakes, and oceans, and people, and planets, and, well, no planets, but, because in the atmosphere up here, it's all cobalt blue light. There are no moons or suns or stars. They're not needed, because everything here, including you, produces its own light. They're not necessary. And then we're shot up this tunnel of golden white light as a group. The next thing we know, we're coming out the other end of a place just at the top of the Atma plane, which is a special parallel dimension that was brought into creation between the top of Satnam's realm and the sixth realm. And it's called the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, and this is where we're going. Why? Because this is the one place where we can rub shoulders with both real master teachers and the true mechanics of the creation, the silent mentors, because we can work together with them here, experience both, and be in the middle of their energy. This is not just positive energy, it's energy that has no negative nature. And we absorb it, it passes through us. The consciousness of masters on one side, the consciousness of silent mentors on the other, and the hue flowing through them moves right through the center of our being. It changes us. This energy is, let's say, is centered in the source or prime creator itself, many dimensions above here. Everything's connected. The plane differences between different realities of the higher worlds to the source are so subtle you can't tell when you're passing from one to the other. They're not like the lower worlds of time and space. Protective divisions between what negative beings and positive beings would do are not needed here, because there's no negative nature or egos that can ever cross that void or even come into it. Not even your etheric body that's basically transparent can go into the void. But you can. The sound now is of a high note of a flute, and it's coming from many planes above here. But you can hear it radiating all around us. You can see the brilliant white golden light of the hue just behind the cobalt blue atmosphere that is here. And we see we are floating in an even brighter cobalt blue atmosphere, looking at another diamond-like beach, brighter, surrounding a massive singular floating landmass in the middle of this immense cobalt blue space. There's no stars or planets or moons or suns here. In the distance, you can see 6 snow-covered bluestone mountains way in the center of this huge floating landmass, and we're suddenly hovering above them. From here, hovering above this blue glass-like cylindrical hue administration tower, smooth blue sides, flattened oval center 2/3 of the way up to a minaret point, shaft of white golden light coming into it. It is a device, a doorway. When you look out into the horizon, you can see this looks like ocean water surrounding this landmass, but it's part of the atmosphere. It's not really water. And you look at the beach and you can see a single luminous blue-green wave making a sound like a high humming and the sound of water running down a brook. And it curves on the sand and crashes in an even curling wave. It continually circles the entire circumference, comes back to where it starts. It never stops. This is something silent mentors do to maintain this place. Gravity doesn't work here. It's a different kind of energy. When you look down at the countryside here, you see at the base of these 6 mountains, horseshoe-shaped golden tunnels carved into the base of these 6 mountains. And out of each one is a white stone roadway, as straight as an arrow, like the spokes coming out of the hub of a bicycle tire. They go all the way to the beach. And down each one, north, south, east, and west, left, and then right, and then left, are clearings with training facilities, thousands of them. Down the western side, you can see the first clearing to the right has a big 4-sided quartz cap pyramid. You can see Lightsea leave the group and vanish right through the walls of that pyramid, because that's his responsibility. He's the custodian or guardian or caretaker of that place. He works here and he has a body in the etheric plane. He doesn't have bodies in the mental, causal, astral, or physical. Torellian doesn't either. He wants to make up a physical body. He draws from the 12-stranded DNA stored and mocks it up out of the hue, like he's doing now, just like what we do, actually. The countryside is vast. Forests, small mountains, lakes, rivers, vast fields of animals grazing, and all of which are highly enlightened forms here, vocal cords, and Atma's running every one of them. If you want to experience what it's like to be a conscious, living, loving animal like a cow here, or a bird, or an eagle, or a dolphin, or a whale, or countless species from other worlds, or a reptilian or gray, kind ones, or a pashat, a lion-type creature, and you want to know what they're like, so you can expand your ability to respect and love all life in the grand multidimensional creation. This is where you come to do it. They already know this, all of you. Out in the distance in this ocean are 12 clear domes on small round islands. Above them is hovering a silent mentor couple. There is 3 pyramids in each one, quartz caps, and a fountain in between them. Those are silent mentor teaching facilities. You can visit them anytime you want. There's a main silent mentor teaching facility down inside the hollowed-out interior of the U Expansion Ray Academy. We're hovering above the EU Expansion Ray Academy Tower. Then we find ourselves inside the hollowed out interior. Torellian is standing in the middle of a white golden shaft of light. I'm right beside him. There's a beautiful, luminous, like a white stone floor. Has a tinge of blue to it. And it's luminous. And find yourself standing in a circle around Torellian, looking out at 12 giant trees. They're like giant weeping willow trees with broad spoon-shaped glowing leaves, making a deep, like a musical instrument, flute, violin. It's very hard to describe what they're making. And above them is standing a silent mentor in a physical appearing form. No facial features, that's just a white light. And above them hovering an Atma 4 times larger than us, twice as many teardrop shaped levels of Atma faculties. They are the mechanics of creation. And we're sitting between a channel through Torellian, right? From source, moving through us, through the silent mentor trees, through the silent mentor forms, through the silent mentors, and right back to source. It's moving both ways, harmoniously, like the yin and yang together. There's a white golden light around it. It's moving back down through the silent mentors, through their forms, through the trees, right through you, through the form you're presenting, through the Atma you are, and then back up through Torellian and myself up to source. In this way, here, we get to experience what it's like to have the consciousness of a real master teacher and the consciousness of a real silent mentor, male or female, right, masculine or feminine, because they all are, moving through us. It knows what it's doing. We're like prototypes. We're being manifested into a new order of being. Kind of a blend between a master would care about a particular dedicated pupil and that of a silent mentor who couldn't care less. But here they do. You get it? There's no negative nature here. That's the only place you can play with them. They don't waste their time on that nonsense of people on earth and all that stuff. It is here that things change and are tested and created. It is here. When they're done, they're tested by Satnam in the realm below here. Sent down through the void to the lower worlds, it comes back in a wave of few energy, and he can determine if it's true, necessary, and kind instantly. This is why this place is so important. Because we can co-create, transforming the lower worlds of time and space without destroying anything into mirrors of the upper realities. To do that, there can be no more fear. There can be no more subconscious minds. There can be no more implants. And people have to lose this nonsense that they ever thought they were a body, because that's nonsense. Utter and complete stupidity nonsense. We are not now, nor have we ever been, a physical body. And you will just come to understand this more and more and more. Then we're moving up this shaft of light with Torellian. We're still in a circle of beings in this oval, luminous hall of a spaceship-like thing, and we're shot upward at tremendous speed. The next thing we see is we're coming out into a domain where this being named Agam Purusha runs things. He's a massive being, bigger than silent mentors. And he runs all the power of eternity here, raw power that's drawn from the upper reality above it, the source itself. And he regulates it and passes it down to the other worlds. He's like the consciousness behind all power that exists in the whole multidimensional universe. I don't pretend to know how he functions, but I do know that I've become his friend because I offered him friendship when I first came here. Very few beings have ever even thought to do that. In fact, most never have. Why? Because it's raw power. They're afraid of it. This guy's a teddy bear. He wouldn't hurt anybody, personally. But don't fool around with him. He doesn't have time to waste on nonsense. I would suggest you all ask him if you could be friends with him. They just say sure, and you're done with it. It's a big step in your evolution to make friends with this being. I can tell you that. Make no mistake about that. In the background, in this fiery realm we see of blue and red and orange and green and yellow, fiery, just moving everywhere. There's no solid ground, but there's a tree in the background, a massive silver golden tree, like a big fir tree. Roots the size of planets reaching down into this fiery light. Top of the tree disappearing above vision. And in the middle, a white golden shaft of light running up and down this trunk. And Agam Parushan has given us permission. And Torellian, we're all going inside the trunk of that tree, moving through these needles. When you pass a needle on this tree, you see a planet. Whole planet represented there, a location somewhere in time and space, or in the upper realities, and everything in the Satnam's realm. As you're moving into the trunk, then we're shot up it. The next thing we know, we're in another, even more brilliant cobalt blue light everywhere. And in the center of it is one single form. It looks like a silvery golden galaxy, and from the distance, with its bulge in the center like a Milky Way, you think there's stars revolving around the center. But you can see there's a white island inside the center of it, and something hovering above it. And then suddenly we're moving as a group between individual, what you thought were stars, or massive individual beings. And as you're passing through them, you begin to remember that you still exist here. It never left. The Atma is a multidimensional capable experiencer, and it can have many bodies and many forms and can experience all the levels. As we pass through these, the space between these beings is vast, like two stars in space. Then we're suddenly in the center of this hollowed out third of this interior, approaching a white circular island, and hovering above it is what we call the Ancient One, or Prime Creator, the Source. And it's just thousands of teardrop-shaped layers, massive. And we're moving between the individual teardrops like we have in our individual layers in our own Atma. And we're moving between them, and they're as vast as two stars in space between them. And we're suddenly hovering as Atmas, no physical form here. Nothing that looks human, just the Atma. That's Torellian, myself, and everyone else. Silent mentors have joined us, two couples. And then we're sitting in the middle of the interior white, bright core of Source. And you hear a deep baritone voice mixed with his angelic, lovely, feminine voice. This is not male or female, but it has this basic male, just meaning positive, has this basic, pure positive voice. It's a deep baritone, but it has this feminine characteristic to it. And as we're hovering in it, you look in the white core of all of us, and we're identical to it. To the white core, there's no telling the difference between it and us. We are drops from this. We're individuals. It is not. It is not a being on a throne. It's not a supreme being. It is Source, Prime Creator. And we collectively make it up. And here the sound is beyond human description. The best orchestras all together and the best singers on earth singing the hue on billion, you just couldn't match it here. It radiates out in pulsing waves to support the entire creation below here. When you look up from here, you can see two other realms above this. The realm of the silent mentors, we'll go there sometime. Maybe next time we'll go there. And above that, the hue expansion ray plane, which was recently brought into creation to manage what is now called the hue expansion ray. It's beyond what the hue was, or the omnipresent living power, because it has a new essence moving through it. And that essence designed to retire the old failed experiment of good and evil, replace it with the wisdom of the hue expansion ray. That means goodbye subconscious minds. Now you know this here. Here you hear a voice. It just says, welcome home. It's doing more than that. It's telepathically. Let's just say that it forms a presence like a being of all Atmas everywhere in the entire creation, which is the entire ocean of light and sound. And it forms a consciousness in this center, this nexus that you can speak with, you can relate with. There's no throne chair here. There's no being with a beard and a staff or anything like that. This is why we have to be responsible beings again. Because if we're really responsible, we wouldn't create Earth like it is now, would we? Of course we would not. And then it says to stay here longer would threaten your body on Earth, so we find ourselves suddenly all the way back down, hovering near the ceiling where you live on Earth. There's a difference. There's a white golden light coming through the ceiling. The Galactic Alliance couple is still beside you. They smile at you and vanish. They're getting their bodies up out of chairs on the Emerald Star Cruiser in the ice rings that circle the gas giant planet Saturn. Some of them have come from one of the 10-mile long ones stationed further out in the solar system. The energy coming through you is what you brought back with you, in part. It's flowing down for you as a spherical being, through the form that looks about 36, down through your sleeping physical body, through the pineal gland, out through the walls of your home, passing through you for your benefit, and continuing on into Earth's atmosphere for the benefit of others. Because it is the only way it works. That energy moving through you now goes into 3 pyramids stationed on Earth. 2 in the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, 1 in the hollowed interior of Mountain Himalayas, out to a bigger pyramid stationed between 2 stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of what was a planet called Maldek. And then it's beamed all the way to the center of the Milky Way galaxy and up the white golden shaft, which is actually what the black hole is. It's not black at all. So that means as you come back to Earth, this experience, energy that has no negative nature, has been brought back with you. You co-creatively allowed this. It's moving through you and going out into the universe beyond your own need to be conscious of what it's doing for the benefit of others. So we're back now. When you're ready, open your eyes. A longer journey, an important one. Now, I would ask you all to turn on your microphones for your benefit, of course. We're still on the journey, even though we're back and your body's awake. That's the whole point. You want to kind of carry the experience of what you saw and experienced here back through the life you have on Earth. Let it grow up a bit. Have it kind of raise the vibration of your body, because you are all much more aware than you were a year ago about a lot of things. And now it's easy for you to understand it. Why? Because you once knew it well. It's waking up. And I'll bring this recording to a stop, and we'll have a little off the books questions and answers.